Hey, Lee Merriweather here, you know, the lawyer who decided to become a sawyer. Well, today I'm going to be working on my chainsaw mill. Now, you may be asking, why are you working on a chainsaw mill when you have a bandsaw mill that's incredibly faster than a chainsaw mill? Well, because my bandsaw mill can only handle certain size logs, and there are logs that are too big and too heavy for the sawmill to handle, unfortunately. At least the one I have right now. It is a LT40 wide made by Wood-Mizer. It's a fantastic machine, but the widest cut it can make, the throat, meaning what size piece of wood will fit through it, is 34 inches. So that's limiting when you have, well, I've got some logs out there that are 58 inches, 42 inches. They're just huge. I have a big post oak out there that I would love to be able to throw on the mill. Sometimes you can put logs on the mill that are too big, but then you whittle them down to where you can fit the throat through it. The problem is this particular customer wants live edge slabs out of this, so I can't do a 42 inch wide live edge slab on this log because it's too big for the mill. If we were just doing lumber out of it, then I could do it. Yeah, boy, it would make some beautiful quarter sawn wood, but that's not what the customer wants. So, and not to mention the log actually is probably too heavy for the mill. I'd have to use the forklifts from the tractor to help lift it up on the mill. I'm not sure I want to put that much stress on my sawmill because it's rated for 4,400 pounds. And my estimate is that log was around, probably around 8,000 pounds. It's big. But my chainsaw mill, the one I had, its biggest cut was about 38 inches. So it wasn't even big enough for that. So I recently upgraded that chainsaw mill because I don't have too many logs that are that big, and I didn't want to invest another $80,000 or $100,000 into a, maybe there are some that are less expensive, but another bandsaw mill to handle that, because I wouldn't just have to buy the bandsaw. I would have to buy a piece of equipment that can move the logs that are that big. I have a tractor, it can move some big logs. I can drag 6,000 pound logs, but some of but 8,000, it's just too much even for that tractor to drag. As big as it is and as strong as it is, it's just not enough. I'd have to spend probably $70,000, $80,000 on another piece of equipment just to move it. So now you're $150,000, $200,000 in just to be able to handle those. But there's what's called Grandberg. It's a company out in California, makes what's called the Alaskan Chainsaw Mill, and it actually does a very good job. I milled with it for years before I got my bandsaw mill because I was going to do more production with that bandsaw mill. But it really does a good job. It just takes longer because it's a chainsaw, and its thickness is, you're talking about a 25 inch, a quarter of inch thick chain that's cutting through it versus an 1/8 of an inch thick bandsaw cutting through a log. So it just takes longer, but the quality of cut from this company for the chainsaw is very good. So I decided a $5,000 investment to upgrade my chainsaw for logs that I may mill, may get once a month, maybe. It's a small investment that's worth it. So this bar is the chainsaw bar. It is taller than I am. I'm 6 foot. So this is the chainsaw bar that's going on this Alaskan mill. And you'll see me put this on in a minute. But this is what is going to be used, the chains, to mill these huge logs. I've got a walnut and 2 big post oaks that I've got to mill. And this actually is pretty heavy, and that's so that this doesn't bend and flex on us as it's going through a log that thick. So very excited. The chains for that thing are very expensive. They take a long time to sharpen. That's actually one of the things that takes the cuts. I haven't used this yet, so just seeing other people that have used this chainsaw mill with this kind of bar, the cut to get through the log isn't that long. It's surprisingly fast considering how big the log is and what you're using to cut it. I think it's surprisingly fast. What takes so long is, maybe 2 passes, and now you really want to sharpen your chain, and that chain takes, it's going to take 30 minutes to an hour to sharpen. So you make 2 cuts and then you stop to sharpen your chain. You take 2 cuts, you stop to sharpen your chain. Even if you changed out the chain, the thing is, you'll see it when I put this together, the bar is inside of the mill, so you have to disassemble the whole thing, take the bar off, take the bar out and change the chain. And so that takes time too. So most people just sharpen the chain unless they hit something really bad, like a piece of metal that messes up the chain. So that's my plan. I hope to get it done. I'm hoping I get it built today and get to try out a log today, so that tomorrow I can mill up this massive walnut that I'm definitely going to be videotaping. So let's get to it. This is the new chainsaw mill, fully assembled and getting ready to go run it, cut up a log. And you'll notice that is blue instead of orange. I normally would have a still chainsaw there, but when I went to buy it last year, apparently the chips, the computer chip, one of the computer chips in the Still 880, at least that's what I was told, or there was a component of the Still 880 that was manufactured in Ukraine, and with the war having broken out, they couldn't get that part, so there was a giant back order. So that's actually, I believe that's a Chinese knockoff. So I got this to try it out. I'll use it till it breaks, and then hopefully at some point Still will have found a new location to replace that manufacturing, and I can get a Still 880. So, but this is the beast. It can mill up to a 68-inch wide log. And by the way, that it's sitting on a door. That's a hardwood door. That is my platform that I worked on, to give you an idea how long this bar is. This chainsaw mill is longer than the door is tall in a normal home. All right, well, let's get to it. All right, well, this is one of the first logs we're gonna mill up. This is a big old post oak, and I tried to actually mill this on my sawmill and turn it to lumber, but it was just too awkward, and it got stuck on the mill, me trying to flip it. I was gonna try to cut off all the knots, the branches and everything, and whittle this down to where it would fit through the sawmill. But unfortunately, I could not do that. It was just too awkward. This would get caught at certain points, and it almost flipped over on the other side of the mill, which would have been very bad. But like that corner would get caught. So despite my best efforts, I could not get this milled up on the mill over there. So I'm gonna run this through the chainsaw mill, and I think it's gonna come out beautiful because the way it's sitting right now, I've got over there a branch coming out, I've got a branch coming out over here, so you're gonna have this beautiful, there's actually a branch coming out right there, you sort of can see it. So the good thing is the top part is already flat, so the sawmill is going to reference off that top flat surface as we go through. Now, because of the nature of this log, it is white pin oak as a type, post oak is a type of white pine. It is a challenge, a big challenge to dry, especially when you include all the different grain movements relating to all those knots. So in hindsight, it probably was a good thing I did not turn this into lumber, because that lumber might have been odd. So we're gonna live edge slab this. It's gonna make beautiful coffee tables. You do all kinds of things with it. And then once it's dry, you can actually, if you wanted to, turn it into lumber with a circular saw at that point. So, but we're gonna slab this. The chainsaw mill is actually designed for even a bigger log. So there's gonna be a lot hanging out over here as I go through it. But I'm gonna get it set up and make it happen. All right, I have had it for the day. I'm exhausted. I wound up getting 5 slabs in 3 hours, despite all the problems I was having with the chainsaw pull cord actually broke on me. It stalled on me, especially the first few times. It was stalling constantly. I do think that the last 2 passes, I probably should have sharpened the chainsaw before I made them, but I went ahead and worked through it anyways. I just worked slowly. But despite all those problems, I still managed to get, so those are the other slabs over there. I still managed to get 5 slabs in 3 hours. Considering this was actually 42 inches wide at its widest, it's not bad. I'd love to get that down to I'm hoping that that monster motor, that it just hadn't been used before and just had to be broken in. I'm hoping that was the issue, because I was trying not to push it too much. But anyways, the more I worked with it, maybe I just figured out a little more. I mean, it still would stall on me at least twice every pass, but it wound up working better as the day went on. So I'd like to get this down to where I can do maybe a slab every 20 minutes, so I can do 3 an hour. That wouldn't be bad. Still, it's a lot of work, considering I can rip through that with my if it weren't so big, my bandsaw mill can tear through that with a lot less work, because I am tired and I'm now I'll be running out of light here soon. So I want to wrap it up, and tomorrow I'll make one more cut. I think I have room for one more cut on this, and then I will slab up a monster walnut tomorrow. Looking forward to that. I think I'm ready for it. Anyways, that's it for this video. Thanks so much.